for soup 6.4. Okay, so let's first talk about. So we have a display board feature. All right, let's bring our attention back to the front. Okay, so the first thing we did was display board. So we're just going to create a method called display board. And what does this need to do? Display the board. So if we want to make this look like a tic-tac-toe board, right, we can kind of visualize it. Okay. Well, how might be a good way to start this? Doug?
You want to iterate inside the array, so maybe a for each.
Yeah, so with a for each, we can think of these as segments, yeah? Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll say this dot board dot for each, and we can say row. And then what should we do with that row? Doug?
You just iterate again into every.
Maybe. I think we're going to be working too hard. Let's say we have 1, 2, 3 as an array. How can I make this just be 1, 2, 3? What's a nifty method I could use? What was that? Array.join. Yeah, right? So what if we just did console.log and we said row.join? We did that, we did that, we did the pipe, space. All right, let's see how that is starting to shape up. So we'll just comment down our work from yesterday. Bless you. You're welcome. And we'll say board dot display board, and we'll test and see how close we are. Node at board. Okay, so we're getting close, right? So what can we do to add those horizontal lines? All right, well, let's try. Come on, what can we do? What can we try? Transpose. I think we're working. I think we're working too hard. Doug?
You add a new line and then just put a little.
Yeah, maybe we could do something like console.log and just like this. Let's see how close we are now. Okay, so they're too long. And we can just kind of play with the width. Oh, so that's not terrible. Should be a little longer. Right, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it just has to be close. Okay, so that's pretty good, except for now we've got this weird line on the bottom. Right? So what can we do about that? Will? Well, it's not really in the array or anything. We're just logging inside of our for each. But that's a good guess. Isaiah? Yeah, right? We can use a condition. Right? Because our for each also has an optional I that we can pass in. And we could say, hey, if our I is equal to our this dot board dot length minus 1, well, we should more like if it's not equal to that, right? Because we don't want to put in the last one. So say not equal. Then we can retry, so we'll say clear down here, run it, we go, okay. That looks a lot like a tic-tac-toe board, right? Close enough. Is that fair? Are we awake? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, Rafid. Which part? Okay, so we're iterating through our board. This is going to give us it's going to give us each row, and we're also going to have the I for the index that we're at. We are going to take each row and join it with a pipe in between. And then if it's not the very last element, we'll print the horizontal line. Otherwise, we don't want to print that, or we'll get one at the bottom. Okay, cool. So that's our board class. Inside of our board, we're also going to need to export it. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to comment down that. And we're going to export this the same way we did our human player class. So remember how to do that. Okay? Module.exports. Yeah? Export. Perfect. Okay, so you'll need this if you want to be able to access your board in the game class. All right, so we're getting closer. So now let's go ahead and open up our game.js. And we have to start from scratch. So what's the very first thing we need to do? Create a class. Class game. All right. What's the next thing? Constructor. Does this one take any arguments?
Yes.
Okay. What did we say we were going to take in? Player 1. Player 2. Okay. What goes on in here? Okay. And what is this? Marvin? Right, this is referring to the instance of our game object. Dot player 2 equals player 2. Great. All right, so what else do we need in here? What else was on the warm-up? Current player? Okay. So what? Does anybody know why we might want to do a current player? What's that?
Switch. So that way one person doesn't go.
Yeah. Yep. So we're doing that. But like, what's like the why? Like, so we could do that, but why would we do that over just writing player 1 do all this stuff, then player 2 do all this stuff? Doug.
I'll use it to keep track of the list.
Who wins the game? Sure. I'm looking for something else. Will?
No deterrence. Who's going to exit?
Maybe. That's not quite what I'm looking for. Rafid?
Maybe to see how the when you know after this player to be done, that's
All right. So we're getting close, but we're not there. What if we wrote our game like this? What if we said, okay, player 1, like, is going to take this turn, right? Take turn. So then our player 1 has to go ahead and get move, check validity, valid check. Is game over? And then it would be player 2's turn, right? So we would say, okay, player 2 dot take turn. Right, we'd have to get the move. Have to check valid, check. We'd have to say if the game is over. Right, this is like a whole sequence, right? This is how the game works.
Yeah.
What sucks about this?
Have to go through it every time.
What?
We have to keep doing over and over for each.
Right? Do we see any duplicate code here?
Oh,
A lot, right? But if it was just current player, then we can just do that. Right? But then we only need to go through it once. So that's why we're going to have a current player, and we can just keep switching. Okay, so we're going to say this dot current player, and that should probably just start as player 1, yeah? Marvin.
Question. Theoretically, if we were to make like a computer player, would the current player also work for that? Like the current player also?
Mm-hmm.
We can use that if we were to.
It won't matter, yeah. Definitely encourage you to make a computer player. Ashia.
So how does line 6 differ from line 4 and 5 with regard to the constructor? Because we're not including current player in the constructor.
We aren't. This isn't the constructor. Right? Things in the constructor don't have to be coming directly from these arguments. I could put anything here.
No, I mean, so we don't have to put, I'm losing the name, but where player 1 and player 2 is, we don't have to write another comma current player.
No, we don't.
Right, so why?
Well, because I already have access to player 2. Remember we, in like our board class, when we go up here, we didn't have to pass in any of this stuff. Actually, nothing was passed in the board, and we just still did everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so same kind of thing is allowed here. We just happen to be using this piece of information twice. So, because we still want to be able to keep track of the 2 different players, because we need 2 different players in the game, but we just need to also have a current player so we know who's active. I think it will make more sense in a bit. Okay. Any questions on that? Any other questions? What else do we need to do in this? There was one more thing, right, Marvin?
Do we also need one for player 2 or no?
No, because we still have our player 2. We're going to have access to it. What else was asked of us in the warm-up? Isaiah? Create a new instance of board. Okay, right? Because the game needs to have a board. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, this top board is equal to a new board. Does our board take any arguments?
No.
Okay, so we can just invoke it. Oh, why does it keep auto-correcting like that? Okay, so let's go ahead and run this and make sure that this is working. So underneath here, let's say let game equal new game. And we should probably pass in a couple players, right? So we'll say new human player. We can say Corey. Oops, spelled it right. And I need a symbol. So I'm going to do X. And we'll also pass in, who else should we pass in? New human player. Let's say Beavis. And we'll make it an O. Okay, let's just go ahead and console log our game. What do we think is going to happen when I run this? Let's do a little bit of prediction. Jay?
You will get an error because the function board and function player aren't defined.
Awesome. So Jay says we're going to get an error because there is no board or human player defined anywhere in this file. Do we agree, disagree? Agree? Kong?
Disagree.
Okay, tell me why.
Because we explore the human and we explore the ball in the previous JavaScript.
Okay, so Kong disagrees. He says we exported it. Jay says we didn't import it. Let's try it. So we'll say node game, get an error. Human player is not defined. Right? So if we export something, we can import it, but we still need to import it. So the way we import it is very similar to our read line sync that we imported from the internet, but we don't need to do that npm install stuff because it's currently on our local machine. We just have to put the relative path to where we can find that export. So let me show you what I mean. I can say const human player, and we can require that from where? Okay. Yep, so we're going to say / humanplayer.js. Same with board.
Or how do you copy it?
Well, I do that by Command Shift D, but that's because I'm an Adam. What? Hey, Celine. VS Code. How do you duplicate the line? How do you duplicate the line?
Command Shift arrow down.
Command Shift arrow down. And then it sounds like also Option Shift D. So it sounds like there's a couple different ways.
It's Option Shift, sorry,
Arrow down. So Option Shift and arrow down will work. All right, so now let's try it. Okay. So we get this game object. We've got our human players. We've got our current player. We've got our board. The board's got all that other crap in it. So things are working. All right. So what's something we'll need to do in this game? After I go, what needs to happen? We need to ready to switch players. All right? Okay. So that's your next task. All right. So over the next 5-10 minutes, write a switch players that updates the current player. Questions on that? Oh man, we're like dead today. What's going on? Did we all get food poisoning? Okay. It's our Friday? Come on, we've almost got this game. But we have to be alive.
You missed a return. Where's the return? Yeah. That's what's wrong. It's inside. So that's the current thing. How would we is this still
Do you guys find
just one thing.
Okay, oh yeah.
How do you see
It's like super smart, but also so strict, right? They'll do everything you tell them to do, but nothing more. They can make no inferring, like.
How does that?
Oh, you didn't even try. Wow. No, we didn't. I was having to debug the ball guess. The other terms are maybe are they on the same file? I don't know if you wanted to. Switch blur. Yeah.
You haven't reported it, I think, on Teams. Yeah, you're gonna use it. I mean, wait. I don't know where it's try to use it.
The only other thing was I didn't know that.
Yeah, you have to. If you have to solve it. So right here, now.
So currently it's a side switch.
Yes, right now.
So you do that now, try like this one.
The player one, the finish one, finish one. Did they write it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because I didn't start.
You won't be able to see it.
No, but it's like it's sparking some idea.
I like that.
when it comes to the next,
Like, if there's a way that you can just make it like, because current players don't get assigned to play this one. So if there's a match, would it be a condition? Yeah. Yeah, the board. So we don't have to do it.
I don't know. I mean, if you like me. Alright.
Yeah. One. They would do that. Alright. So no.
No, we don't need it. But in the conditions,
So it should be if this turn, then this right? Equals to
that's good. So it's a given turn, switch players to
All right, clap your hands once if you can hear my voice. Clap your hands twice if you can hear my voice. All right, let's keep moving along. All right. Oh, we're still going. Okay. Okay, so our switch players, easy to start, right? Switch. Whoops, well that's too much. That's way too much. All right, we'll just type. Switch players. So our goal is to switch the current player, right? So what should we check for?
Who's the current player?
We should check who's the current player, right? So that sounds like a condition. So I can say like, hey, if this dot current player is equal to, I don't know why I keep doing 4 today. This dot player 1, who should become our current player? Okay. Else, who should be our current player? L should be current player, right? Whoops. Right, that's it. Not a whole lot of logic that needs to happen there. And we can go ahead and test this. So I'm going to go game.currentPlayer.name. I'm going to say game.switchPlayers. And then we can print out our name again. So we're expecting to see Corey and then Beavis. And we do. Right, so that's how we test. Remember, every time you write something, you should test to make sure that it's working in the way that you think it is. Otherwise, you're going to kill yourself debugging later. Like literally, you may take your own life. Okay, so just definitely test it.
That was really dark.
That was dark. That's way too dark. I'm sorry. Trying to get a response. There's no good comedy without taking risks. Okay. Yeah, Ashia.
Would something would have changed if I didn't use this?
It would
for
throw an
not
error.
the current player, but for player 1.
Yeah, we'll throw an error saying player 1 is not defined. This refers to the instance, so otherwise it will think you're passing in a variable. Right, I just also want to see if we could write this as a ternary. I could say this dot current player is equal to this dot current player is equal to this dot player 1, this dot player 2, else this dot player 1. Right, so we could take 5 lines of code and make it 1 line of code. We should still test it. Corey gave us. So it's working. It's a little messy, so maybe I'll just go like that. Any other questions on switch player? I saw a lot of people trying to like calculate the player based off how many moves. Come on, none of us do that when we play tic-tac-toe, right? So we don't want to overcomplicate. We should try to replicate whatever our brain is doing. You just go, oh, you were the current player, so now I am the current player. If you play tic-tac-toe any other way, if you played someone tic-tac-toe and they were like saying, well, there's 7 positions left, and I went first, you would say, what's wrong with you? Right? You would say, what do you mean? Right? All right. So let's get kind of this play function going, yeah? So what do we want to do in our play? What's kind of the rough logic? So here, let's start a game. Let's say play. What's the first thing that needs to happen? Like, yeah, Jay.
Display the board. Well, 7 players.
Well, that already happens in the creation of the game, right?
So display the board.
Okay, so we could print the board. That's got to happen at some point. Not sure if we're quite there yet, but let's say we're going to print the board. What else needs to happen in our play? Brandon? They've already selected play, so they're going to be playing. No? That's going to already happen in the initialization of the game. I like that. Marvin? First turn? Yeah. Okay, so they're going to have to take a turn, we'll say. So we can say current player takes a turn. And what does taking a turn look like? Isaiah? Okay, so current player, we have get move, only move on when valid, when, let's say is valid move. So if we're only going to move on if it's a valid move, what does that sound like? Sounds like we might have to keep asking them over and over again, yes? What was that? So maybe a while loop. Okay, so I'll put this all inside of some kind of while loop. Okay, and then once they do take a move, what do we need to do? Or once they give us that valid move. Well, sorry?
You got one turn, like this, one space less, or the favorite is game over.
Sort of. Kong?
Place the mark.
We should place the mark, right? So we're going to place mark. Okay. What else then? The place mark does that, remember? On our board. What else might we want? Yeah, Karen. We got to switch players. I like that. Well, switch players. And once we switch players, what should happen?
Back to the loop.
Back to, yeah.
You want to find the winner at some point to check.
Find winner. Okay. So we could check if there's a winner, I guess. So we want to check if the game is over, essentially, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then what would we do? If the game wasn't over, what would we do?
Do it again.
We would do it again, right? So if we wanted to run this a certain number of times, how would we do that? Or like we don't know how long. For how long do we want to run this? Yeah. So while there's no winner, yes. Okay, so let's say while our game, while it's not over, while is game over, or we can just say game over. We'll run all of these things. Whoa. Ay, ay, ay. Do it like this. So while it's not over, we're going to do this. And then once this is over, what should we do? What might be nice, yeah? Let's say the winner, yeah. Declare winner.
Can we restart? Can we restart again?
Maybe, let's not worry about that for quite now. Okay, so this looks great. Let's also think about what should be in our game over. We're going to write both. So if we had a game over, so when will there be a game over? Marvin?
Whenever fine winner happens, or whenever the turns go down, or
Yeah, does our board have a game over actually? Ah. So our board could also say, maybe we need another, because like the game being over, that should be probably determined by who? The game or the board? Like when the board is done. I don't know, right? There's a valid argument to both.
In fine winner, you have moves remaining equals 0, so that would be the winner or tie is found.
Okay. Let's see, what are my notes? What did I do with that? See, I'm thinking we should have a. Okay, I mean we can put it in either place, right? That's like part of the thing with object-oriented programming is we can set this up in different locations. That makes it kind of tough sometimes for what judgment call you want to make. Right? We could put an is game over in our board. We do have a fine winner. We could also say is game over in the game. We have a moves remaining in the board, so it kind of feels like maybe it should be in there. My vote's going to be to put it in the board. All right.
like why is there a particular reason why it works better that way?
Well, I just think because board is already keeping track of if the board is full or not and the moves remaining, it might as well also say if the game is over.
The way that I was understanding was like board keeps track of what's happening in game, whereas game keeps track of like the rules for the game.
Right.
So
I don't know, right? It's
can you do something like where it's like if fine winner is close and or say put things for a game over winner.
one more time. What?
Sorry, if can we do something in the game file that if fine winner from the board file is print the name.
Yeah, I guess if it's like because otherwise it will be a tie, right? I guess so. Otherwise it'll always be falsy. Sure. Okay, we'll do it in game. I'm bored. I'm game with that. So let's have a while is game over. So okay. So the task. We can do this. Write these two functions. Feel free to split them up into helper functions if you want. This is the type of flow that we're looking for. Okay, this is like a high-level outline. Using this, try to write your own, okay?
What's the one right now? So if the one that you die, to like X
So if system is not undefined, it's constant law. They should just constant law is not else constant law.
No, that's just an outline.
If constant law if this winner. That else, it's not an else. It's an else. Else, so possible. Wow.
Functions that are
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I like that. But it doesn't have to be a house. Okay, it does have to be. I see what you're doing.
so I don't want this it's not a big outcome that you know against first player, second player. Oh, but you want to Wallace.
Because think about the player, they can pick their symbol. Say I pick a J, and you pick a W, right? An X, like a Z, you know.
So if the winner is not able to undefined, we set this winner undefined in the ball. If it's not able to undefined, that means
How do you check if the game is over?
check the if the winner ball has
Okay, that's one way, right? You can record it from board, so you have access to that. Right, that's one way. That's a time.
We have that, right? That's what I'm saying.
That's why you have that.
You also need to check
Exactly. That you already have the logic. Now you just have to actually put those little pieces together to based on
this. We want to put this. This comes off to the push button.
this hard. You want to use. You have access to the class. Here. You have access to that class. Now try to incorporate the methods you had from there. Yeah, try and incorporate that.
So this okay. So if
This is the class. But right now, this is this and because it's another place. It's not this. This is this.
so you put if it's horizontal,
The move remains is equal to 0.
It's not. Yeah, but in which way? How do you check? Huh? Yes. You got to check.
it's gonna loop.
Well, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do with wow. Going for that.
True.
How would so that's that?
This paper, oh, is it like that?
When
This one?
Game is true.
Okay, so how do we do it?
This
This was
Yeah. There's many ways to do it.
oh, you're not sure.
You would return
Okay,
and
nice.
turn
How do we do
while
this? How do we use it? This paper not defined.
think about when it was returned.
Tell me you do a dot and that's what.
The game is finished. Then, if the game is not finished, it's the while the game is not finished. So the output and game over is true or false.
Yeah. So, while loop runs, if it's true,
Yes.
and now it's running while you say that it's not,
Yes.
and want to turn that false.
Okay, so the outcome on game over should be true or false. Okay, and check it back.
How do we? You're not foul. You're not foul. You have the good idea to use this. It's just how to use it. You figure a bit, but you're close. Yes, sorry.
It's all in place. Right. Like so, it's taking one question in this game. You see how it's turn player takes turn.
Yeah,
It's all in while.
If rank says that's using the game, the wild card is using the game.
Got it. So how do you
So I'm just wondering if I need. No, so like for example, first line is for the current is that the right thing to do? Is there another line?
I try to believe that you switch tables.
What's the combination also? Yes. So if I say
If you switch that from wow, That well, now you can take them out. Corey?
Okay.
All right, clap your hands twice if you can hear my voice. Clap your hands twice if you can hear my voice. All right, how did this one go? Yay, nay? Okay. Yeah, okay. Right, this is tough. This is the first time. This is the first time we're actually connecting all of the classes together. Right, so that makes it. That's kind of the barrier. But we're gonna go over it. So our board. We have to call find winner at some point, right? Our find winner doesn't return anything because we've been using it as a side effect. We could return this dot winner at the end of it because it would update our winner. I'm going to suggest we actually do that because I think it'll make life a little easier and a little cleaner. So I'm going to return this dot winner here. Okay? You didn't have to do this to get yours to work, right? There's a lot of different ways we could write this. This is just a way I think I'm going to write this because I think it'll make it easier for me. So if that's the case, game over. I'm just going to return this dot board dot winner because if it's a string. If it's either one of their symbols, which is a string, or it's the word to tie, those all have truthy values. Otherwise, it's undefined, which will be a falsy value. So now I can say while this dot game over. So while it's not over, and I'm going to open up curly braces. First thing we said we were going to do is print board. So we can say this dot board dot display board. Okay, so this is done. Check. Next thing it says is current player takes its turn. Okay, so that's kind of in the turn there. It looks like it's part of like we're going to do this while loop, get the move, check if it's valid, and then place the mark, right? So I'm going to go ahead and create a variable called move and say let move. And for now, I'm just going to say false. And then I'll say while there is no move. Or I'll say is valid move. What is our method? Do we remember? It is valid move? Okay, cool. So let's see if we can figure this out together. Okay, so we'll say is valid move. So while it's not a valid move, because if I just pass in move as false, it's not a valid move, right? I could even say 0 too. We know that's not going to work. But for now, I'll say false just so it's like more clear where I'm getting it. So while it's not a valid move,
Question.
it should be this dot board dot valid move.
Yeah.
This dot board. Thank you, Colin. So while it's not a valid move, we have to get the move. So I'll say move equals this dot current player dot get move. Okay, so this is going to keep updating our move. We're going to say, hey, give me the move, and then it's going to run it, and it's going to say, is this a valid move? If it's not a valid move, it's going to keep running it. If it is a valid move, however, we should place our mark. So I'm going to say this dot board dot place mark. Place mark takes in 2 arguments. I forget the order. Do we remember? Symbol and position?
No.
And move? No, it doesn't take a name. Okay, well, just in case, it's pretty easy to find, right? I'm going to say, whoops. Place, yeah, it's all there. Well, we can see there it's a number, yeah. Okay, so we'll go back to our game, and we'll get our symbol. So what is our symbol right now? I'm not going to hard code X, because it's the next person's turn. Kevin? This dot current player dot sim, right? That's our current player symbol. And then what's the position? Move, right? Okay, so now we've placed our mark. So now that should take care of all of these things.
On line 29, you've got 2 semicolons here that are false.
On line 29, thank you. Okay, what's the next line we have to worry about? What's it say we got to do? We've got to switch players. So this dot switch players. We haven't called find winner anywhere, right? So we probably need to do that. I'm going to call that here because that sets up our winner. This dot board dot. Oh wait, I can just go like this. This dot board dot find winner, because now that it's returning something. There we go. Okay, so now that we've switched players, we're going to keep playing until the game is over. So now we have to declare our actual winner. So let's go ahead and think about how to do that. Any suggestions? Okay. Any suggestions on how to figure out which winner we want to declare? Well, what could we check? Well, we can see something from the winner, right? And what's our winner? It's some kind of symbol, and we could check to see if that's equal to a specific player, right? So we could say if this dot board dot winner is equal to this dot player one dot sim console.log this dot player one dot name wins. Plus wins. Else, the same logic here. Oh, I could do an else if. Hang on. Because otherwise it's a tie, right? So let's copy this information too. Right, there's some duplicate code here. I could definitely turn this into a helper function. But I could say player 2 dot symbol else console.log, and we'll say tie game. Both are losers. Okay? I know that's a lot, right? So we could also clear the board with each roll. So I'm going to go ahead and do that too. I'm going to say console dot clear so that it doesn't get too muddled up. And at the very end, yeah, that's fine. Maybe at the very end of the game, we should also display the board. So we'll say just dot board dot display board. All right, should we try it? All right, this is a big function. This is so big, I would probably recommend breaking this into smaller pieces, where you would just take blocks of it and make them their own function. Let's walk through it again, right? So we call this .play. We're checking if the game is over. We're doing that by calling find winner. If it isn't over, we're going to display the board. We're going to set move to false. We're going to check if the board is a valid move at that move. If not, we're going to reassign the value of move to whatever we get the move from the current player. After that, once we break out of that, we'll place our mark. We'll switch players, and we'll continue until the game is over. Once the game is over, we'll check if the board's winner is the same as player 1's symbol. If it is, we'll congratulate player 1 by name. Otherwise, we'll check if it's the same as our player 2's symbol. If that is the case, we'll congratulate player 2. Otherwise, we can infer that it's a tie game.
Don't we also have like a tie calculated?
We do have a tie built in for that too. We could use that too. All right, we could also just say the winner was, and then say the symbol. Would it print? If we did that again, yeah.
Would it print like tie?
No, we're never printing the word tie from the board. We're only just changing the winner to the string tie. All right, but let's make sure it runs. I think that's probably important. So let's open up our console. Let's write clear. And then let's go ahead and run our game file. I might think about extracting all this game logic, not the logic, but the actually running of the game into another file, like called index.js, that would import my game, human and board, and then I could just call games from that file, and these would just be plain classes. And let's see if it works. Whoops. Well, I should probably do node. Oh, well, we haven't called play, right? So let's go ahead and play. Game.play. Sorry about that. Let's try it again. Okay, enter your move. Beavis. Oh, we probably should have it say, probably would have been helpful for it to say the current player's name at that point, like this is your move. Pretty easy to fix, but we can worry about that later. So we'll say, okay, I'm going to move at 5 because I like the middle. And we get that. So now it's the other person's move they'll say it's a 2. We'll go 6. They can go 9 or something. Do we want to win or we want to tie? What do we want to do?
And track the 5.
What?
And track the invalid number.
Invalid number. Okay, I'll put in a 90. Didn't matter. I'm hearing tie. Okay, we'll do a tie, so we'll do 8. They'll do 4. We'll do 3. They'll do 1. We'll do 7. Oh, I accidentally won. But it was right. Right? So it's working. We have a game that works. We could really, when you write your own, you should probably test all the little outcomes. I'm not going to do that. I'm pretty confident that it works. I also don't want to waste 20 minutes watching me play tic-tac-toe. Sin? Question? Oh, no. All right, so questions on this game. No questions. Excellent. Yeah, Ashia. Okay. Well, she is gathering her thoughts. Let's think. Let's draw. Let's draw out the map. So, as mentioned in the past, we could have put different methods in different places, but this is just how we decided to design the game because we're kind of following my specific lead on this. We got to start from somewhere, right? So we decided in tic-tac-toe there should be 3 main classes. We decided that there was a human player, a board, and a game. Doug.
So going forward, like should we have every object be its own file?
Yes.
And let's say like we want to, then how would we decide like what like function goes, what method goes into everything?
Great question. So Doug asks, how do we decide which methods belong to which class, essentially, right? So part of that is just kind of experience. You'll get better and better at that. Second is personal preference and taste. Third, when you make a decision, just be ready to defend your decision. It's okay. It's not necessarily a wrong way. I mean, if our human player was keeping track of how many spaces were left on the board, I think that would be a hard point to argue because who does that when why would a human keep track of that? All it needs to do is be able to see the board and make a move. But where the board gets printed, should the human print the board? Should the board print the board? I don't know. I might think of actually doing the human printing the board if I wanted to expand, because I don't want to print the board every time for the computer as well, because the computer could just interpret the board its own way. But it's kind of trial and error a bit. Shia.
Can you go over how you're calling each class from another file? Like for example, line 40 is like this.board.placemark.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is how I'm calling winner from our board. Well, if we think about this.board, we created in our constructor. Where we said this.board, and we created it to a new instance of board. Just like any instance of an object, you have all of the properties and methods available on that instance. So inside of my game, if I have an instance of board, I can call any method that I have on the board class. But I have to keep writing like this.board. So this is the instance of the board I created. And then I can do .findWinner because that exists on the instance. Or in the class, at least, of the board. It's a good question. All right, so human player we decided should be, its main functions will just be get the move. Because that's all you really need from the human. The board we decided should have a matrix. A moves remaining. Moves remaining. A winner. A fine winner. Anything else we're leaving out that seems important for our board class? Not really, right? I can't think of anything. And then we had our game class. This was in charge of playing the game. Play, switching players. That's pretty much it, right? Taking turns. And our play is the one that connects the whole game together. So this is you checks board state. Gathers move. Board we also needed place mark. It is valid. So you can see that the responsibility is shared amongst the three classes, and they're all accounting for just themselves. I know it's a lot. So you'll have a chance to practice this, because tonight you get your project too. It's in Canvas. I think I moved it to tonight. The link though to the project might not actually be until the day it's due, so you might have to look ahead. What?
Hangman.
Yes, you'll be building Hangman. I added a bunch of stuff to the instructions to hopefully give you some guideline on how to actually build it object-oriented style. Right? We don't want to see a bunch of loose functions. We want to see it as objects interacting. Things to note, like if I wanted to build a computer player for this game, I'll actually just kind of do it quickly. Let's say touch computer player.js, and then we'll go ahead and open it. We need to make a class, right? Computer player, and it needs to have a constructor, and this could take in a name and a symbol as well, right? This dot name equals name. This dot sim equals sim, right? It needs these things because this would be the other player. It doesn't matter who you're playing against, right? What else might computer player absolutely need? Okay. Yeah, it needs get move, right? Because if it's a computer, it still needs to get a move. So we can say get move. And when we were doing the human, we used readline to interact. But for a computer, I could just, if I wanted to, let's make it really stupid, okay? I'll say like return math dot random times 9, and I should math dot floor that. So math dot floor, right? This is like a really stupid computer. Like, hopefully it won't beat me here, but we'll do module dot exports, and again do computer player. And then in my game class, we have to import that. So I'll just go ahead and do this, do that, computer player. And then here where I'm actually writing my game, let's make Beavis a computer player. Okay, so now when we play the game, it would look a little bit different. Now it will be no.game, and we'll see, okay, so it's my move, I'm going to do 5. And now we see that it automatically filled out an O. So I go, oh, okay, cool. Now so it's my move again. I do a 9. They're really fast. Oh, well, this one's playing kind of smart. I'll do a 3. It's all right. We're going to win because I'm going to do 6. Okay, so I still can beat this computer, right? So the real point, that was pretty fun. The real point is if you make a computer player, which you're supposed to do that for Hangman, your computer player will need to have the exact same methods as your human player would have. What they do might be different, right? If I wanted to make my tic-tac-toe player very smart, I'm not going to do that right now because it's going to take a lot more time, and I don't really want to waste time. But I could build it where if it's empty, I would take the center spot, right? I would take wherever the most 3s are available, right? So if the center spot was taken, the next best spot for me to take would be a corner, right? If there were any 2 of the same in any singular spot, I should take it. Mine being preference. So I would try to find my symbol first, and then if there weren't 2 of mine, but there was 2 of the others, I would take theirs, right? So there's logic. I'd be programming it to be the same logic that I would use playing tic-tac-toe. Most humans can pretty much play a perfect game of tic-tac-toe because it's kind of a finite number of situations. So it'd be easier to program than like a huge chess game. Although there are obviously AI chess games that are quite smart, better than the human because they can just do so many combos. Point is, in your game for Hangman, I recommend that you have a referee and a guesser, right? Well, in Hangman, there's someone who chooses the word and says where the things are available and whatnot. The guesser is the person who just guesses characters. And so the methods that you call on the referee and the methods that you call on the guesser, both the human and the computer should share the same method names in order for it to work. Questions on that? All right, so that's the end of the tic-tac-toe tutorial. We wrote our game. Hopefully you'll use this as inspiration on your Hangman. For the rest of the day today, we are going to give you time to start working on the Hangman. And that way you'll have the weekend to work on this, and then come Saturday we're going to learn reduce, which is fun. Okay? All right, rock and roll.
Can you push